Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, today joined by Michael from All Leeds TV, and we're going to be talking all things Angus Kinnear. Great to have you on. We might as well get straight into it with Angus Kinnear. Firstly, tell us all about him. Who is he? What role did he have at Leeds? How long has he been at Leeds?
So he joined in 2017 from West Ham. Before that, obviously, he was at Arsenal. Basically, he's just the lead CEO, which looks after the financial side of things, not so much the football side of it. So his whole involvement is basically just money outside. Obviously, he's bought a bigger brand, like Leeds brand name is bigger now. Obviously, with the Red Bull deal, with the stadium plans, so he's more that side of things than he is anything to do with the footballing on the pitch kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, for Evertonians, I think we've had it for so long where I think Farhad Moshiri has been at the root of that. So, obviously the Freaking Group coming in, I think a lot of Evertonians would say they're similar to the way Leeds United operate. Obviously you have American owners as well with the
Yeah.
49ers. So, there's going to be a lot of similarities in the way that the Freaking Group and the 49ers group will operate. But obviously Canary, he's been through that transition period at Leeds. It's safe to say. But before we properly break it down, what are your brief thoughts on him? What are your opinions on him and his time at Leeds?
So it's a hard one because until you look deeper at it, you only see what they want you to see in terms of it's like, well, he's the face, the owners are more backward, so if anything goes wrong, he's the one that gets it in the neck kind of thing,
Mm.
which when you actually look at it, it's a lot more than that. He's like I say, he's involved and in terms of he's more of a scapegoat because he is that guy that's the CEO, so he's like the face. So if anything goes
Yeah.
wrong, he's the one that kind of gets the neck.
I think, reading up on a lot of Angus Kinnear and Leeds as a whole and his time there, it's been difficult to kind of gauge a reaction from Leeds' fan base about Angus Kinnear. I think, obviously it's only just recently been announced that he will be leaving at the end of the season and coming to Everton as the CEO. From your end, what's been the reaction to Kinnear leaving at the end of the season? What's sort of been the immediate reaction and the immediate thoughts of the Leeds fan base to that?
It's one of those things where it's about time in terms of like the fact that obviously you had the whole Orta Radrazani thing. It was
Mm.
like those three, and obviously with the whole badge design, ticketing, and all of this not going towards the yellow kit, which is what fans wanted. So I think that put a little bit of a sour taste because wasn't the things that we wanted.
Mm.
So whereas yes, he has done some great things, don't get me wrong, which we'll get into in a bit. It's it's not surprising, but it's just in terms of the fact that it was announced now and
Mm.
not nearly like the end of the season, right? He's gone, that's it. There was obviously rumours floating around that he was the guy that you lot wanted,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, yeah, he's going, but it's end of season, which I get why because he wants to see out the season, hopefully get us promoted in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned obviously Victor Orta and then Radrizzani as well, and sort of Kinnear, Radrizzani, and Orta as like a three. I think the biggest thing for me, obviously I've been in and around Leeds. I lived in Leeds for 3 years myself, knowing sort of the whole situation with Marcelo Bielsa, for example. How much of a decision was that by Angus Kinnear to make the decision about Marcelo Bielsa? Because I think a manager like him, where I lived in Hyde Park, there was a mural on the side of the wall in Hyde Park of
yeah.
Marcelo Bielsa talking about his ideas about him being a madman until they, succeed. So, I think the Leeds fan base was so, they idolized Marcelo Bielsa so much. So, as a three, do you think it was maybe Kinnear was given the scapegoat status for that more than anyone, or was that maybe Radrizzani and Orta that were given the scapegoat even more?
I think in terms of the fact that he was more the face, I think him and Orta kind of got it more. I would say more Kinnear that he was the scapegoat. Like you say, with Bielsa being sacked, we can talk about that all day long. I could. So I'll move on from that because we will get distracted. But I think yeah, it was one of those things because he was sacked and the manner of it. I think it was a case of right, who are we gonna? pin this on? Is it going to be Radrizzani? Is it going to be Orta? Or is it Kinnear? And I think Kinnear got it worse
Right.
from what I've seen and heard.
Right, yeah, fair enough. I mean, with Kinnear as well, I think a lot of people saw that he was a big communicator, so they maybe that might have worked in his favour or it might have not. But I think he likes to keep the fans updated. That's fair to say. He's been on numerous Leeds podcasts, as I
Yeah.
understand. Tell us a bit more about that. Is that something we can expect as Evertonians moving forward, or is that maybe just a more of a Leeds thing that you want to be closer to the club and more well connected?
Think like you've already said, if your owners are like ours, they'll keep their heads down. They won't
Mm,
talk as much. They won't reveal anything. So in terms of if he's brought in for that sense, then yes, he will.
mm,
But he communicates well. If you've listened to any of the podcasts or any of the shows with him on, you hear and actually listen to how he's speaking.
mm.
But he is very defensive in how he work and how he talks. So he's very calculated, and it's what you want to know, what you can know. Like he won't let much slip in that sense.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, is it fair to say that obviously, as you said, with the Leeds hierarchy, they like to keep their cards close to the chest. I think what we've seen from the Freaking Group at Roma, for example, they've been an ownership model where they don't like to give anything away. You know, if a manager's getting sacked, the first people will know about it is through official club channels. Obviously, I think Leeds are somewhat more similar to that than maybe what they have been previously. Do you think that? As you said, do you think that it is Kinnear coming in to bridge the gap between the fans and the ownership, or do you think it's more something for him to be better at maybe commercial deals or things like that?
I think if they are similar to the way they are, then it will work in that sense. Obviously, like you say, the commercial side of it, I've already alluded to the brand deals. He's brought in Red Bulls, which see the biggest the championship's ever seen.
Yeah.
So if you're looking like that, obviously you lot are moving into a new stadium, so you want brand deals, you want different commercial aspects to boost it, kind of thing. And I think he will do that very, very well for you.
Yeah, I mean that's something to look forward to at least. I mean, us as Evertonians, I think we've looked at it for so long that we are a little bit of a sleeping giant. Listen, Leeds are a sleeping
Yeah.
giant as well. You're a one club city. You're a huge football club. But Everton fans as well. I think we've been looking at it, for example, of we've been a sleeping giant and we've been waiting to be unlocked in a commercial sense. And I think the Freaking Group are definitely going to look to do that. But sort of moving away from Everton and talking about Everton, you alluded to it a little bit earlier in the video, but we now move on to sort of his highlights and his low points of his time. We'll start with his highlights because we might as well start a little bit positive.
It's got to be Bielsa. Obviously, he was one of the key factors in bringing him to the club. We were mid-table championship. That's all we've been for a few years. So for him to bring in somebody of his stature, obviously, I watched a lot of La Liga when we were down in there, so I had to watch my football somehow, and that was the release to watch something brilliant. And watching
Mm,
Bielsa's football for me was just amazing. So to even think that we had a chance of signing him, especially in the championship, was just next level. Like he obviously we refer to him as God for what he does. It's not just Bielsa's style; it's the way that he plays football, the way he is off the pitch with the fans. So yeah, obviously he's had a massive part to play in that. Obviously, financial improvements because we've had many years where it's been mismanaged. We haven't been able to buy players, even when we sold players. They've just been used for just to renovate stadiums or just in their back pocket kind of thing. So he's massively improved that, which is good. So hopefully he'll do that for you. Charity work as well. So he's organised football games with people from All Leeds TV. Chatted to him afterwards, brought him drinks. I know Tash, who couldn't be here today, that there was an incident there with Tash that again he's the one that was there to help her.
yeah.
So he does that as well. Obviously, before he came as well, Ellen Road, we weren't selling out. We just wasn't. So he's helped improve that, which again you could see is it the terms of well Bielsa's come in, our style of football is improved. So hence why it's come from Kinnear, which a lot of people won't see that kind of thing. It's all well, we're playing good football, so that's why we're turning up. It's not the fact that other things have played a part in it.
Yeah, I mean, that's as Evertonians, I think. well, a lot of the work that's done off the pitch, I don't think a lot of Evertonians see. I think you'll obviously know that Kevin Thelwell is leaving the club. He was our director of football for I think two and a half years. So a lot of people have criticised him, but I think I'm one that wants to defend his corner. And would it be fair to say that Kinnear, you're happy to defend his corner because a lot of the things that he's done are maybe off the pitch and maybe not in the public eye?
I mean, I'm talking to one of the negative thing was the whole badge drama thing. He wanted
We were
to
going to get
change
onto
up,
that at
but
some point.
obvious, we'll just might as well get to it now. Obviously, it's the down point, and like you said, consistency and how well he's been. I think the fact that the whole badge, thinking that he's asked X amount of people that this is kind of the badge we want, this is what we're getting, and all of a sudden, overnight, you're getting this mass Leeds fans saying, no, we don't want this. So, again, I think that was probably one of the lowest points. But apart from that, there's not been many low points that I can think of. So, it's one of those things. It's you see different things from media comments, different outlets will say different things. So it's hard to actually grasp what's true and
Yeah,
what's not in that sense because you'll have one outlet saying that he's poor, he's done this. You'll have one outlet saying how great he is. So,
yeah.
from what I've seen, again, apart from the whole sacking of Bielsa, bringing in poor managers and the
Mm.
relegation side of it, apart from that, did he play a part in it? Potentially, but financial side of things, commercial side, we boost massively.
Yeah, I mean, on the pitch, it's you'll know yourself. As Evertonians, we know ourselves that the Premier League is getting so much harder. I think we're looking at now a situation where the three promoted teams are going back down
Yeah,
for 2 seasons in a row. So you know, a Leeds fan, you'll probably know a little bit more that it's getting more difficult. But Evertonians as well, since you've come into the Premier League, we've sort of gone on a downward spiral and been sucked into relegation battles. So I think. Can it be excused from Kinnear if the stuff on the pitch isn't going as well? I think maybe, but as you said, the commercial boost that Leeds have had is absolutely phenomenal in recent years. As you said, not selling out Ellen Road, you've gone from half empty Ellen Road to a full Ellen Road. I've been lucky enough to be in the away end for the 2 games that you were in the Premier League, and
yeah.
I can honestly say the atmosphere that the South Stand creates is genuinely it's scary at times, but it does massively get it does massively help your team and you massively get behind them. So I think Kinnear can probably be praised for that one to get in the Ellen Road at full capacity. But as you said, the low point has to be that badge thing because from an outsider looking in, that was horrendous.
Yeah, I don't know what that was thinking. I don't know if it was just, well, that's our kind of salute of what Leeds players and stuff do, but it's in terms of on a badge, I've taken them that part and I've tried to forget even what that badge looks like, if I'm being honest with you. All I remember is I had that salute and that's it. I've just tried to forget the rest of it.
Probably best leaving that in the past, isn't it, with Kinnear? But
Yeah,
moving away from that and talking more about Everton now. Obviously, we're going through a period of transition ourselves. Obviously, like with Leeds, you went through that period of transition with Kinnear at the helm. We're changing our structure really. We're dropping the director of, well, it's reported that we're dropping the director of
yeah,
football model with our current director of football. Obviously, I mentioned it a little bit earlier in the video about Kevin Thelwell leaving. He's leaving at the end of his contract. I think it's been attributed as a wider sporting leadership team, is what we're going for. What that is in practice, I'm not too sure, but Kinnear and
no.
Moyes are going to form the centerpiece of that. They're going to be part of that group. What are your sort of thoughts on that? Do you think Kinnear can work in terms of recruitment and sporting leadership, or is he more better suited to the financial aspect? What do you think about that?
I It's hard to say. I don't think there's any evidence to say or to show that he's qualified to be making football decisions in terms of recruitments or on the pitch decisions. So in terms of looking at it that way, and obviously director of football, CEO, you've got so many different roles. So the way that football is moving anyway, you have to have a centerpiece of
Mm,
core people. Just for example, say five players, five people
mm,
doing similar roles, but they've all got different roles, and together
Right.
they will make that decision.
Mm.
That's how I'm thinking in my head. Obviously,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
I've read up a little bit about it, but in terms of staging moves, I said he was at West Ham and Arsenal beforehand, which
Mm.
I believe he did have a
Yeah, yeah.
input in that as well, and the running of the club in terms of how it's built, and I guess the whole on the pitch thing, it won't affect that. So like
Right.
philosophy wise, he won't have too much input.
Mm.
It's more off the pitch, branding, commercials. How can we make Everton a even bigger club than you already are? I
Mm.
didn't mean that in a disrespectful way, obviously, banter wise, but in terms of trying to make it push into top eight, top six in the Prem, you're going to need branding and need to expand. And I think that's what he will bring to you.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we want, isn't it? I think, and it's fair to say that when he was at Leeds, Victor Orta and Radrizzani were the one behind transfers, weren't they? Signing
Yeah.
players for Bielsa or Jesse Marsh or I mean, who was your manager towards the back end of that season?
Sam Allardyce.
Sam Allardyce. It was always Radrizzani and Orta who were providing the players for them. So I think if it was to be Kinnear who was sort of away from the footballing side, and being sort of on the commercial and the financial aspect, I think that would work well with David Moyes because obviously you'll probably know that David Moyes is very hands-on, shall we say, with his transfers. I think he likes to have the final say on pretty much any player that comes to the football club.
Yes.
Even more probably than what Sean Dyche did when he was the Everton manager. But that being said, I think I'd be happy, as you say it, that I'd be happy with Kinnear to be the sort of centerpiece for the financial and the commercial aspect rather than the footballing aspect, and have sort of suitable men around him to do that job. But we might as well move to the final question on that final question now, and it's sort of underpinning everything that Kinnear's done overall from when he's taken over Leeds United as CEO to leaving the club. Do you think the club's in a better state than what it was when he took over?
Absolutely. Like there's no two ways about it because you'll think we've been ran by terrible owners in the past. And I think Kinnear, yes, in terms of the whole model that we wanted, the Brighton, the Leicester model that we've
Mm,
spoken about, we've worked towards it. It
mm,
hasn't worked to an extent, but we still maintain that we are in a much better place than before I
mm,
came. Like I said, he joined in 2017, so since then our stock to say has risen phenomenal. I haven't got the figures to say how much it has risen as in terms of the club, but I just think that overall he's massively improved the club financially on and off the pitch. Say on the pitch, definitely off the pitch in terms
mm,
of so many different areas of aspects.
mm. Yeah, I think from an outsider looking in at Leeds, you've definitely been better run. In the last what is it, 7 or 8 years that he's been there.
Yeah,
Um, as we've said so many times, it was a period of transition. You've come from the mid-table championship all the way up to the Premier League. Yeah, okay, you've fluttered back into the championship, but there's every chance you can come back into the Premier League this season. So it's good to hear as an Evertonian that Kinnear's come in and he's done a good job, and you're better now. Now he's leaving than when he found you. But yeah, I just fingers crossed that as an Evertonian, he comes in and does some proper good work, and we can start catapulting ourselves up. But Michael, thank you very much for talking all things Kinnear today. It's been a pleasure to have you on, and fingers crossed we can see you in the Premier League next season at our new
yes.
stadium, Bramley Moore.
Fingers crossed. It's been an absolute pleasure joining you, mate.
Fingers crossed. We can see you at Bramley Moore next season, and all the best for the rest of the season. Hope you get promoted.
And to you, mate. Hope you do stay up.
Nice one. That is all from me today on the Toffee Blues. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.